All right. Hello, everyone, and good evening and happy Monday. My name is Davon Reeves. I am the CEO and founder of Vesterr, which is a crowdfunding platform where you can invest in commercial real estate. And so tonight, we have one of our funders on, and she's going to present to you a new deal that's on Vesterr. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because we have some folks who I believe have never heard about Vesterr. So this is their first time. So now you all can see my screen. So let me play from the start. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. All right. So can you all see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. So, what's crowdfunding? For those who don't know what crowdfunding is the use of small amounts of capital from a large number of individuals. So, basically, we're all coming together to invest. In this case, we're going to invest in commercial real estate. So, why Vesterr? So, essentially, we're a crowdfunding platform and we're designed to connect deal funders to investors. So, what's a funder? Funder is just a Vesterr term for folks who are raising capital on our platform, and that is Dr. Valicia Dunbar. She is one of our funders. And our job here at Vesterr is to connect folks who want to invest in commercial real estate, but they don't know where to go. So think of us as a marketplace for commercial real estate. So what's an investor? An investor is Vesterr's term for folks who would like to invest on our platform. So what's Vesterr? Vesterr, we are a crowdfunding platform, Regulation CF. We only focus on commercial real estate, including hotels. Think of us as an alternative way to invest into commercial real estate as well as raise capital. And so what sets us apart from our competitors, we accept both accredited and non-accredited investors. So for those who don't know, an accredited investor is someone who has a net worth of $1 million or more or an income of $200,000 or more. A funder can raise up to $5 million per deal. And we're also a member of FINRA, which is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. So we are not just a website where you're like, oh my gosh, it's just a website to invest. It is a lot of compliance. Dr. V can attest to. She had to go through a lot of compliance. She had to go through a background check. We had to check out a deal. I actually drove down there myself. So it was an actual deal, it was an actual building. So it's a lot of compliance that goes through because my job at Vesterr and our job at Vesterr is to make sure that we protect you as an investor. So how? You can go directly through our website. In a moment, we'll have the link dropped in the website. Ways to invest. You can use a self-directed IRA or retirement. Now, I want to put out a disclosure. We are not a financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor. We cannot give investment advice. We do recommend that you conduct your own due diligence and that you work with a financial advisor or a CPA, which stands for Certified Public Accountant, or lawyer to review the information before you make an investment. Savings, mutual fund, stocks, or cash. Okay. So Vesterr, our investing process. So feel free to view the pitch deck information, Dr. V, which she'll go through, conduct your due diligence. So creating an account to invest and complete an investor questionnaire. How to invest. So you can use ACH, wire transfer, and there are some deals on our site where it's less than 5,000. So you can use your credit or debit card for less than 5,000. There are no fees to invest on Vesterr. I want to reiterate it. There are no fees. I know there's some folks that got poked. No, there's no fee to invest on Vesterr. How we make our funds, the funder pays up to 5% of the total raise. So that's how we collect our funds. As an investor, there's no fee for you to view the deal or to invest in a deal. Just a little bit about myself. I am Davon Reeves. I started off as a front desk agent. I navigated my way to hotel ownership. Currently have 2 hotels in my portfolio. I had 3, we just sold 1. And now I have a funder or founder hat as founder and CEO of Vesterr. And I came up with this concept or this idea. Folks like yourself who are looking for a marketplace to invest, or folks like Dr. V who's looking for a way to raise capital for their deals. I know when I was on my journey to hotel ownership, it was it was difficult to raise capital. It was difficult to find investors. And I came across a lot of amazing people who wanted to invest in hotels or other commercial asset classes and they didn't know where to go. So that's how Vesterr came about. I don't know anything about tech or coding, so I partnered with Anand Patel, who came in and helped me on the tech side. So feel free to contact us if you have any questions about Vesterr. Make sure, if you haven't already, make sure that you follow us. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook. Send us an email at invest@vesterr.com and go to vesterr.com to see any of our deals, including Dr. V's. Now, before I pass the baton over to Dr. Valicia, do we have any specific questions about Vesterr itself? Not about the deal, because Dr. V, she'll, she's going to explain it. But do we have any questions about Vesterr? All right. Well, I am going to pass the baton since we don't have any specific questions about Vesterr. I'm going to take myself off. Dr. V, I believe you have the permission to share your screen and let us know about your opportunity. And feel free to introduce.
As always, Davon, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I tell everyone I'm so proud of Davon for seeing a need and deciding to put her time and resources into closing this gap to help us to build community assets through crowdfunding. I am a history buff, and so she and I both share this in common. And I always like to start with just a quick icebreaker, just 3 to 5 minutes of an icebreaker on this series that I'm writing called Lost Fortunes. And this is about Black women entrepreneurs and their families who achieved wealth, became moguls before the passing of the Civil Rights Bill. So that is before the passing of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And so what I would like everyone to do is to just log for me and put in the chat how many of these individuals do you recognize? And then we'll go back and see who they are. I'm just going to go, there are 19 slides. I'm just going to show 4 women today because in the last presentation, we talked about the other half. And so this person here, just make a note if you know who this is or have heard of her before. This woman, if you've seen this face before or image before. The third one, this woman, if you've seen her face or image or name before. This woman, and this lady is actually from Jacksonville, so I'll give you all the hint on her. Became a millionaire before first Black woman millionaire in Florida. So I'm already giving it away. So, okay, this person should be somewhat familiar to everyone. This lady here is connected to a lot of wealth, or was connected to. She passed away in 1950. And then this lady I'm bringing back up because she was a hotel resort owner in Atlantic Beach, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And then the last one, this lady here, who became a mogul in the undertaking business at the turn of the century. So just put in the chat, how many of these individuals do you recognize? There are 8. And I'm going to ask whoever knows, whoever has the most, to just shout out what they know about them. Let's see who this is. Okay, we have some 3s, some 1s. All right, looks like the 3s have it. So Dixie and Kevin, is it? Which 3? Okay, that's okay, Andrew. Which 3 do you recognize? We'll start with Kevin. And just call out the slide or the name. Can you hear me, Kevin? And if Kevin's not ready,
Mm,
we'll just go to Tawanda. Hi, Tawanda. Okay, so I'll go ahead, unless you all are not available, I will go ahead and call on Tiffany just to say, which one do you recognize, Tiffany?
I recognize the images.
Which one?
I believe one is Ida B. Wells.
Yes.
Okay, almost.
Okay. Oh man.
Almost. Anyone else? So these are Black women
Very
millionaires.
proud.
Okay, so let me start with this person here. So Hattie McDaniel was the first Black woman to win the Oscar. And that's what it was. And that is what she's known for. And I forget the role that she played. Was it Gone with the Wind or was it another one?
Gone with
But
the
Gone
Wind.
with the
Gone with
Wind.
the
Yeah, it was
Wind.
Gone with
Gone
the
with the
Wind. Okay. So she became a millionaire out of her work as an actress. And what's interesting about her story is she had one of the largest homes in the um, at the time in the high rent district in Los Angeles downtown. And they tried to take her home from her when they realized that she was a resident. So she generated her wealth through real estate investments, but also through social activism events, and also advocating for other actors to fight off discrimination. When she received her Oscar, she was told to sit in the back of the facility because they would not seat her anywhere else in the front. But she generated more than $1 million in assets, and back then, and that time, more than $1 million is somewhere around 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year. This lady here, Josephine Beale Wilson Bruce, was the spouse of the one of the first Black U.S. senators from Virginia. He was a former slave owner. She is part of the family series of Black wealth. And so, oops. And so she had one son with her husband. They were well known in the DC area for their advocacy, for their socialite status, and for the zip code that they lived in. The property that they owned in DC at the time is now worth about $2 million, but they also invested in real estate and other opportunities that generated significant wealth, not only for them, but for their children, their one son. Unfortunately, the one son was not the best of social, of us in social standing. So because of their well-known name, he was, I think, arrested or something like that for circulating images of minors, inappropriate images of minors, and just associated with unfortunate people. And eventually defending him and trying to get him back into society pretty much diluted all of their wealth. And so the context of all of this is, how did these individuals lose their wealth after amassing so much on their own before civil rights advocacy was a thing? This lady here, Charlotte Van Deen Fortin, was the sister of three Fortin family women. Their mother, I think her name was Charlotte, was the daughter of a African-American shipyard sailing mogul. So he made his money in the sailing industry and then converted that into real estate ownership, etc. Their family wealth was passed down through the generations, but eventually, because they gave so much of it away to the churches, to advocacy, to abolitionist causes, their wealth eventually diluted as well. And you'll find a trend that a lot of these individuals gave their wealth away. The one person who did not give her all of her wealth away, even though she is still known today here in Jacksonville, is Mary Magdalene White. So this is the mother of Eartha White, her only daughter. She still has, in the LaVilla neighborhood that I'm building the property in, or renovating the property in, significant structures that are now nonprofit centers. So she was a person who organized opportunities for shelters for people who were displaced, did a lot of community service, but she's the one person in all of the wealth that was generated through this time that established a trust. And so even today, her trust is doling out grants and opportunities for other business owners to start. And she specifically said she wanted her community fund to go to help other business owners to start their businesses. This lady here, you all should know somewhat. This is Dorothy West from the Martha's Vineyard Wealth. Her father was known as the Banana King in Boston, Massachusetts. He was a former slave as well, became a wholesaler in the fruit industry and created his wealth, was a multimillionaire well in the early turn of the century, 1900s as well. And then the last two, Miss Belle de Costa Green was the only one who openly passed for white. And when I say openly passed for white is she was married to an African-American man who was the first Black graduate of Harvard. He went on to become the ambassador to Russia. But when he divorced her mother, the mother decided to pass the children for white. And so she became the trusted confidant to JP Morgan, who willed her $1.5 million in his will when he passed away. Her real estate, her condo in Madison Avenue in New York is now worth $12.7 million. And all of these properties that they owned in real estate that they owned are still here today. It's just no longer owned, within the community. And then I visited with Sarah Spencer Washington, who I'm so impressed by, because not only did she have a 9-hole golf course that is still in Atlantic City, she owned hotels, resorts, and even had her own farm where the farm supplied all of the vegetables, fruits, etc. for her resort. And I was just shocked that I knew nothing about this woman who was worth, I think $11 or so million before she passed away, left the money to her only, she had no children, to her only niece, who then lost the fortune to a divorce situation. And then the last one, Henrietta Duarte, was from a family, again, of creatives and artists and singers. They traveled the world. All of these people traveled quite a bit, and I had no idea about the travels back and forth to Europe and back to the States. But her family, she married a man, started an undertaking business, but she was already wealthy with her family's business. They were involved in inventions and as well as business owners who were business owners as well. And eventually, because she had no children, her investments went back into the family, which again, were eventually given away and lost in time. So these are 8 amazing women. The series has about 21 who I am writing about at on our blog, thenewlavilla.com, just so we can start to recapture these stories and to help our generations understand that we've been creating wealth for a very, very long time. What we have to do now is to decide on how we want to come together and make it last longer for generations to come. So thank you for indulging me. That was my icebreaker. So Dixie and Kevin, congratulations for knowing at least 3 of who these women are. And I hope everybody else can look at the website and learn a little bit more about each and every one of them, because I focus on their story and how they lost their wealth quite a bit in the articles I've been publishing. So I hope you all appreciate it, just hearing that. So now, getting into our pitch today for the New LaVilla Entrepreneurship Center. I am, again, just happy to have this opportunity to have Vesterr provide the guidance and support to be an intermediary on this project. We have been working on getting to this point for almost 9 or 10 months now, having the legal team, the accounting team, everything that Vesterr required for us to qualify for, to have this raised on their platform. So I want you all to know that getting here was a serious activity, and that we appreciate and just want to acknowledge your being here today to support this presentation. The LaVilla, the new LaVilla is an opportunity to for accredited and non-accredited investors to help us to raise $1.2+ million through real estate crowdfunding to renovate the building. This was designated as a historic landmark early on. This was very important to us because the community had already lost a lot of its historic structures. It was our Black Wall Street here in Jacksonville, and eventually a lot of buildings were torn down. So there's a strip or two that are still left, and this building is one of the ones that are remaining on that strip. We want to convert this into an entrepreneurship center and co-working space to become a modern mixed-use business center in the heart of downtown Jacksonville. And our focus is on how can we do this as a community-owned asset. A little bit about LaVilla. If you are into history like I am and into just restoring our lost and forgotten assets, the LaVilla itself was founded in 1866. Part of the founding community included 35 former Black Union soldiers who were stationed in LaVilla as part of Fort Hatch. The neighborhood eventually evolved to become known as the Harlem of the South. Broad Street, where the building is located, was Jacksonville's Black commercial corridor, also called the Colored Man's Railroad. And it's the home of James Weldon Johnson. Stanton University, where he was, Stanton High School, where he was president, is 2 blocks over. He's also the author of Lift Every Voice and Sing. And we are known for having the first public recording of blues on a stage in 1910. The Will Hotel at that time operated as early as 1913. Fannie Harvey was the proprietor, operating the hotel upstairs with Cuban and African-American tenants. And then there were commercial spaces downstairs. What's happening in LaVilla? What is happening to make LaVilla the ideal market driver and destination for this project is that it is located within an 8-boundary district where at this point, more than nearly $1 billion of investment has gone into LaVilla. We have the $80 million Uptown LaVilla project. We have the $10 million Heritage Trail that is connecting LaVilla to some of the other cultural centers in Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Transportation Authority opened its site for $57 million just before COVID hit. That site is devoted to a lot of the rail yard and transportation companies that were Black owned at the time. They have beautiful murals within that building that recognize LaVilla as the historic community that it used to be. Lift Every Voice and Sing Park opened up last year. That was a $3 million investment. And all of this investment is coming from public and private sources. The community's residential district was nearly destroyed. So they have built within the past 5 years, opened 91 townhome developments, and rental housing units have been popping up. This is the part of Jacksonville where everyone is seeing opportunity and the money is flowing in. The latest announcement, and I added this to the slide last night, is that we received approval that the University of Florida will be opening its graduate campus in LaVilla, and that is a $130 million project that is happening. And in addition to these that I'm mentioning, there are a lot more happening there, but those are within, the immediate vicinity, approximately walking distance from the new LaVilla. What is Jacksonville? So LaVilla is on the northern side of downtown, and Jacksonville itself is known as the largest city of Gullah Geechee descendants. We are along the Gullah Geechee corridor, also known as the Low Country. I am a Gullah Geechee descendant as well. The I-95 route up to New England and the I-10 route west to California intersect at Jacksonville. And we're also known for the beaches as well. Since I moved to Jacksonville 10 years ago, and within that time, Jacksonville, of course, has been the largest continuous U.S. area, city by area. It is now the 10th most populated city in the U.S., and the Urban Land Institute designated Jacksonville as one of 5 supernova cities, meaning that it is highlighting it as a destination of rapid business and economic growth in the United States. So one of 5. Market trends and economic drivers. The unemployment rate is very low. Job opportunities in terms of they're trying to build out a technology sector and bring companies here, corporations, is high. Taxes, we have no state income tax. We are known as the 4th best city in the U.S. for new business startups, and we are home of the Jacksonville Jaguars NFL football team. We were just talking about Travis Hunter, our newest member, who should be starting this season. So we're excited about that as well. What I wanted to look at also and share was, why would this co-working space work? Why does it make sense to convert this center into a place where entrepreneurs and business owners can thrive? One of the reasons, again, is going back to the historic footprint of LaVilla. LaVilla at one point had the highest concentration of Black-owned businesses in the city. This business, the new LaVilla, honors that. Our intention is to recognize that and to include through art and through wall displays and information, a salute to those Black-owned businesses, and in addition to Jewish-owned businesses and Cuban-owned businesses that were in the area at the time. The co-working demand from Statista says that there is a current co-working demand in Jacksonville, serving between 4,600 to 9,200 customers. And the data that I'm going to show on the financial side, we're estimating, just based on a low number of 61 customers, what the financial projections would look like in a very conservative space. But we have definitely a lot of room to show growth in this area and revenue growth. Customers' demands, we paid attention to what are customers looking for when they want to utilize a co-working space, because we want to make sure that we have revenue lines that are in alignment with demand. We also wanted to make sure that overall, the demand for a flexible workspace was on trend with what's happening with office buildings and office space rentals overall. And so with the growth of the freelance workforce, it makes sense to have an entrepreneurship center and co-working space in this area. Some of the trend data is on the right-hand side. The location, based on co-working association data, location is the #1 driver. We're centrally located to downtown. Co-working space amenities and space design is also key factors in terms of making sure that we're offering people something that they're looking for and something that will be in demand. How people find out about co-working spaces is also a relevant trend data point. And again, what are they looking for when they come into this space? And that is hot desks and day-to-day office virtual rentals. What is our unique value proposition? So LaVilla is offering a residential live-work unit for members. We have 1 housing, 2-bedroom, 2-bath lodging unit upstairs that is available for members and to the public. We are focusing on growth in the co-working and wellness niche to include wellness rooms, and on-site life and business coaches are included as part of the co-working membership. Our ideal customer profile is focused on entrepreneurs, culture, sustainability, and mission-driven collaborative community programs. Because we have Lived Every Voice and Sing Park next door, which is out, I have the distance, it's walking distance, maybe 2.5, 3 blocks. Because we have the urban park across the street at the courthouse, because LaVilla is known for bringing and hosting cultural events, we know that our community programs need to fall in alignment with that. So this is the present. This is 318 North Broad Street in LaVilla, downtown Jacksonville, Florida. It is the last intact block that remains in LaVilla. The building, so the city by code, the different colored boarded up windows is required by code. The building on the end of the strip there has been renovated already. The Masonic Lodge is the tall building that you see, and at one point the Masonic Lodge was it was the center of LaVilla. It still is, but the traffic, again, in the entire community where residential buildings were demolished, where businesses were displaced, people have to come in to see this facility. This is the current inside of the building. So because it's historic landmark, this is going to be a complete build out. We have to preserve any of the original ceilings, floors, layouts that we can. So what you see here is looking forward out to the street and then looking back into the first floor of the building. Now the future renderings of the new LaVilla are here. What we want to have is a very attractive retail mixed-use storefront. The mural on the side, again, leaning into the culture and the history of LaVilla, will have a logo or a mural that speaks to the city and the businesses that used to be there. The Front Street view is here. So this is heading down Broad Street. On the right-hand side is the courthouse, which was built, I think they finished that one just before we got here. So maybe 10 to 15 years, between 10 and 15 years ago. The courthouse has 1.1 million visitors monthly coming in and out of that courthouse. On the right-hand side, you can see the new LaVilla there. And then the 3-acre urban park is currently in its rendering form as well, but this will eventually be a destination within itself as well. The LaVilla Heritage Trail will run through the front of the courthouse, around the backhand side of the block that LaVilla is on, and will pick up again where the Masonic Lodge is. So the entire area is being built out as a destination, and we're right in the heart of it. Okay, the future details and regarding, proximity to other destinations in the city. The traffic load is 6,800 annual average daily traffic passing through Broad Street every single day. The central landmarks and venues, Everbank Stadium is 1.6 miles away approximately. We are directly across from the Duval County Courthouse. And again, I mentioned that's 1.1 million visitors each month based on public data. And we're also walking distance from the Prime Osborne Convention Center, Jacksonville Terminal, the Performing Arts Center, Old Stanton High School, which is again a historic landmark within itself. The intersection of Broad Street and Ashley Street was where most of the LaVilla intersecting events and activities occurred. The Emerald Trail, again, that is part of the LaVilla Heritage Trail, crosses onto Broad Street. We have James Weldon Johnson Park, 3 blocks away. Lift Every Voice and Sing Park is 3 blocks away on the other opposite direction of the building. Fort Hatch, where the Black Union soldiers were housed, the historic marker is just 2.5 blocks right behind us. The Masonic Lodge across the street, Clara White Mission, the Mary Magdalene White, the woman who, you know, was a major philanthropist and one of the first Black millionaires in Florida and Jacksonville. Her facility is 3 blocks away. And then the downtown library is 4 blocks away. So accessible and on trend with everything that is happening to build out Jacksonville and make it a destination. So the layout of the building is here. It is 6,300 square feet of planned mixed use retail, including the coffee shop and gift shop, co-working spaces, private and shared office spaces, event and reception space, conference and meeting spaces, and then the residential unit in the rear, which is the 2-bedroom member unit. Currently, we are, this is the layout with furniture in it. Currently, the red areas are indicating where we submitted for permitting, but had to make some safety adjustments. So we may have a private entrance to the residence as part of the safety recommendation. So the red hallway here is going to be a separate private entrance for the residents only. Okay. So the business model and marketing strategy. So the financials from an operating standpoint is based on a very conservative projection. Pull this up so I can see it. So we have revenue diversification included in our business model across 6 lines of business, which is the coffee and retail vendors housed on the first floor, co-working, conference, and office spaces housed on the first floor and upstairs, 2-bedroom live work residential unit on the 2nd floor in the rear, and then the boutique event wedding spaces in the front. So where you saw the colored windows, that front part where the round tables were, will house boutique weddings, approximately 35 people for those events. And it makes sense because we're located right across from the courthouse. But we also will have that space used for business launches, office showers, etc. The key marketing strategies will include alliances with the 8 or so chambers of commerce that exist in Jacksonville: the Green Chamber, Greater First Coast Chamber, Filipino Chamber, Jacksonville Black Chamber, as well as alliances with the Clerk of Courts offices and marriage licensing departments, as well as court mediators who need private meeting space. We are also looking to align with downtown incubators and the colleges. Everett Waters College is our historic HBCU here in Jacksonville. It does not have a downtown location. And so this would be an ideal location for meetings and events for them to meet with, to have business, engage with business owners. JU, Jacksonville University, and Florida State College at Jacksonville have downtown offices, and then we'll also form partnerships with event planners. On the financial side, business consulting services will be part of the offerings at the new LaVilla because we're a business and co-working space. This revenue is based on 3 years averages of our major operating tenant, which is the Center for Confidence. That is my company. The lodging and 2-bedroom lease capacity, we, based on research, 60% occupancy is the average occupancy for 18 of 30 nights. Is what that would calculate in terms of months. And then a very low $150 a night rate The average rate in Jacksonville is 172 nightly. So based on 60% occupancy at 172, the year one annual sales would be $32,400. The co-working memberships based on a conservative number of 61 members. That is based on co-working data that says the average capacity for a per co-working member is 25 square feet. So we simply divided the co-working square footage by 25, and that gave us 61. I have operated a co-working space in the past. So based on past experience, I can tell you that there will never be 61 members in the building at the exact same time. So you always sell. And so again, that is a very conservative number. The average cost of the co-working package is based on that trend data that we pulled from Statista, which is $59 to $350 a month for co-working membership. And so we calculated that at $125,900 for a year's co-working membership based on very modest capacity. Office and retail leases, Downtown Investment Authority, we base the cost per square footage at $20 a square foot. I looked it up and it's higher than that, but again, we're going with very conservative numbers to make sure that we are very reasonable and very cautious in our projections. The Downtown Investment Authority, DIA, 2022 Q4 office space rates were $23 a square foot and as low as $18 a square foot if you accept a 5-year lease. So that is based on $282,960. And then event sales and fees, we conservatively based it on a 4-hour rental for one event a week. Very conservative again. And the rate for that over 1 year, revenue would be $36,000. So projected gross leases and membership fees is $704,000 and $264 for the first year. We projected out the pro forma for 3+ years, and so we have that data as well. So the year one annual projection is based on an average co-working rate, 60% residential occupancy, minimum event and base retail sales. Okay, so what is the raise on Vesterr? So we are looking at raising upwards of 1.2 million. The investor perks include, we have 4 fundraising categories, starting at $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, and $50,000. The perks include minimum investment perks that are through the crowdfunding. Our crowdfunding tool is a simple agreement for future equity. So the simple agreement for future equity means that once we raise and build out the property, we will refinance it for an increase based on the increase in value, the new value. And at that time, we can use that equity to reinvest it back into the business, or you will receive shares in the business. And so the information that is required and the information that is used to guide how we navigate with the Securities and Exchange Commission regulations will all be on Vesterr's page. And we've also created an additional question and answer form. So I thought about what questions would I have, and so we have 3 pages of pre-answered questions for you to look at on the Vesterr page. You will have founding membership benefits. All the founding membership benefits are already listed at the newlavilla.com, our website. The founding member benefits range from a value of, in terms of cash equivalents to the services that you're getting. So you'll receive, for example, if you're a $15,000 investor, you will receive the year of co-working memberships, coaching, consulting, lodging, use of the lodging space, at a discount, etc. So all of the value that is in your investment will start at $7,500 and go up to $39,000 and change if you are at the $50,000 investment level. The opportunities for investing, we are in a hub zone. We are in an empowerment zone. So there may be opportunities to receive some tax incentives for your investor, but this is something that you will need to discuss with your accountant or legal advisor. We cannot speculate on, what is appropriate for you. Only your lawyer and accountant can discuss that with you, but it is here listed for illustration purposes only. Now, as far as early investor incentives, we are offering early investor incentives for anyone who invests by July 31st, 2025. You will receive double the amount in founding member benefits. So the benefits currently, for example, if you're at 15, total about $7,500 plus 1 year co-working membership. So it'll be doubled to 2 years of co-working membership, plus the discounted use in the facility, plus the co-working, lodging, and consulting incentives that come with that entire package. So the website has all of that listed in detail. Use of proceeds. So the 1.2 plus raise is to take care of course, our intermediary fees for the hosting fees on the platform. Construction will receive $950,000 plus towards the construction and final build out of the property. Project staffing, this includes the accountants, the initial management team, expenses. Marketing is going to be very important to get the money, the raise to accomplish the final numbers before the September 30th close date. And so marketing is going to be an important component of how we get the word out to raise the funds. And then general working capital includes any fees and related costs that are associated with getting the building up, running, and operational. For the timeline that we're currently in, we are past, well, let me back up. We were almost past building and permitting. So we submitted the plans for approval April of last year. That is when the plans were sent back for safety reasons. I mentioned that earlier. So we resubmitted the plans for safety and code compliance corrections in November of 2024. Now we are going back through the cycle of getting in front of building and code compliance and the historic commission to have them to reapprove the new plans and drawings. And so once that is complete, we will go before the Downtown Investment Authority for incentives that they offer, will contribute towards the project. Our goal is to have final approval for DIA incentives by Q4 and then groundbreaking by Q1 2026. All right, are there any questions? I hope I didn't go too fast, but I didn't want to go over time with any questions. The rest of the slide deck includes all of the legal information and compliance information. So Vesterr will put this entire deck on their platform for you to review, in addition to the Q&As that we've already prepared for you as well. Any questions? I'll just thumb through these so you can see what those look like.
Okay.
So these are all the risk factors, the team.
Mhm.
And the consultants that are involved. And I can say I have an excellent
Yeah.
team
What
of consultants.
what Darcel was saying, there was a lot of work that needs to be done.
Davon, I can hear you. Davon.
Oh, sorry.
Was that a question for me?
No, 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 no. I'm sorry.
I have a question. Can I
Yes.
ask?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, I saw the figures and everything, right? But
Yes.
you didn't mention operational costs, like for example, the restaurant. You have a restaurant there, yes?
Yes.
And there's
It's a
waiters.
coffee
Yes,
coffee
there's
shop.
yeah, there's waiters and chefs and everybody has to prepare. Has that already been accumulated in your numbers to provide that number is the after
Yes,
everybody's
that's included in the pro forma, and I can send that to you directly. So we will have positive cash flow from day one. That first year cash flow is around 58,000 after all expenses are taken out. But I can send you, if anyone's interested in seeing the pro forma, I can absolutely send you the pro forma.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. But we are projecting positive cash flows throughout.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Any other questions? Here, okay. Do you already own the building? Yes, we purchased the building in 2023 under the new LaVilla, our LLC. We previously owned it under the Center for Confidence, which is going to be the consulting side of the entrepreneurship space. But the new LaVilla is an LLC and has 100% ownership of the building. I am the sole owner, and our operating agreement is in the SEC filing. Are there any backup uses for the property if co-working doesn't work out? So backup uses would be, and I've considered, various alternatives to make sure that we have ongoing revenue in there. And one of them, I don't know if I should say it because we had a conversation. So yes, we've had conversations, and we had conversations with one of the universities. I'll put it that way. I don't want to name them yet. Let's see here. Please email me. Okay. Can you put your email address, or Davon may have it, so I'll get that from you to you. Is the residence, let's see here. Is the residence one unit with 2 bedrooms or 2 1-bedroom? It is 1 unit with 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. So our intention was to make this space for families as well as individuals to stay. So we considered an executive bed and breakfast model for, of course, the lawyers, the attorneys over at the courthouse, but also for individuals to be able to come and have their family in one private residence. So it is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And it will have a separate entrance and access code. Can private trust invest and or subscription acceptable? Can you clarify for me, Kevin? Maybe a question for my attorney, the private trust part.
Yes,
Okay, I
Are you
have an
there?
answer, but I feel as if I want to double check my answer with my attorney. So I will get that question answered for you in terms of the private trust. And subscription, what does subscription? Can you clarify subscriptions?
Yes. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you clarify what you mean by subscription? Okay, I'll hold on, but I'll keep going and then if you want to jump in. Hi, Joanna. Dr. V, can you please elaborate on what the wellness rooms will entail? Yes. So I'm a little excited about the wellness rooms because we had that in our previous co-working space. And it was a meditation room, so a quiet room where you can come in and just relax, reset, meditate in that quiet room. We also had it set up to where it could convert into a library. So there were books on wellness and other topics that were calming and soothing topics. We also had a lactation room for moms. I haven't decided yet on the lactation room in this space, but absolutely the wellness components will be there across on the 3-acre lawn. They used to have yoga classes. So I want to also work with the courthouse again on how we can get added to their calendar to also have some other alternative wellness activities happening there. Now, the Friday nights and Saturday nights, we're also thinking about what cultural activities we can incorporate on those weekend nights as well. Does that answer your question, Joanna?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being on the call.
Okay, Dr. V.
Okay, and
Are you there?
are the wellness rooms for rent? So members, yes, I'm here. So members, the wellness rooms are included in the membership rates. And if someone rents the space kind of as a one-off event or outside event or something like that, the wellness room typically has not. So in the previous model, they were not available to just people coming in to rent. They were solely available for members. But on an occasion where we had a sponsor come in, we did open it up for special events. And that special event was a wellness event for, for working women in the area. So hopefully that answers the question. Did you have anything specific in mind around?
No, I didn't. Thank you for answering my question. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Will the public space offer court services such as notary and photocopies? So when I think of that, I think of competing with member businesses. So I would imagine that we would have a member that would be attractive for a member business. We do, because we're a co-working space, we will offer like the regular kind of Kinko's services to people coming in from the public, because we anticipate that people coming from the courthouse will want those types of services. But specifically anything that interferes with the potential of a member, we want to find and identify a member first to offer that service. But photocopies, yes, we'll have, the commercial copiers and equipment in there as well. Let's see. Hi, Cynthia. Cynthia is one of the consultants on the team. Thank you, Cynthia. She said, yes, under Rule 506C, a trust can subscribe via a trust, but Dr. V will have to verify that this raise meets the criteria to accept. So I will go back to my team and make sure that we meet the criteria to accept. Okay. Devon said, is this for regulation CF? Devon, can you clarify for me? this, so this is regulation, under regulation CF, and the instrument is a simple agreement for future equity. Is that what you meant, Davon?
Yes, no, somebody was mentioning about, yes, under Rule 506C, a trust can subscribe via trust. But
Okay.
Dr. V, I was just making sure, I was just clarifying to make sure that they understand that this is a Reg CF and not a 506.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I was
you.
just making sure because it's different rules. So a trust can, so to answer the question, if someone does have a trust, they can use the trust to invest. Because they're going through a Reg CF. So I was just that's what I was answering in the question. Because it's a 506 or Reg D is different than a Reg CF. So the rules are different. So I just wanted that to be clear.
Thank you, Davon. That's why I leave all that to the attorneys. And yes, we do have a very robust Q&A sheet that again has been prepared as well. And there was one question that I'm thinking that answered his question about the subscription. Okay, any other questions? Amanda says, great question, Michelle. Thank you, Amanda. Can you reiterate the exit strategy for investors? Yes, thank you. So the exit strategy under a SAFE is a refinancing event. That is our intention, is to, once we invest the funds to complete the build out, we will refinance under the new appreciated value. The investors can choose to exit, and back based on the appreciated value, their initial investment. And I want to be careful the terms that I use here. So the increase in value will be, what's the right way to say how we distribute? So you can exit at that point, but if we reach 1 million, you will have shares in the business. So you will now be a shareholder, and you can let your investment ride out, or you can cash out, but you will be eligible for dividends as a shareholder, paid out of the profit shares. Did I say that correctly? I don't want to misspeak. But this is a regulation CF, so a SAFE instrument. So the initial instrument is for equity ownership in the business, and that is based on the real estate until operations start. Once operations start, you will have a choice to convert into the shareholders agreement, where you will receive dividends or cash out. So the whole period, so we are planning on opening for breaking ground in spring 2026. Construction is estimated to be 1 year. So that will put us at spring 2027, when we will have our 1 year of operations under our belt in spring 2028. So these are approximate, and that is the intended timeline that we want to stick to. So that would be 3 to 4 years. But I want to just be cautious about, I can't guarantee that, I guess is the caution. I can't guarantee that, but that is what we're shooting for. How many consultants are performing the business how many consultants are performing the business consulting services that were listed as a revenue stream? So under my company, there are several consultants under one umbrella. So it's one company, several independent consultants under that umbrella. We've had as many as 6 to 8 on one contract. Does that answer your question, Michelle? Okay, I guess that's good. If a person converts to a shareholder, how often will dividends be distributed? So we're looking at quarterly. You're welcome, Lonnie. Any other questions? Any other questions at all?
Wait, I just want to clarify, it was another thing about this, so this deal with it does not have to be an accredited, you don't have to be an accredited investor to invest because it's a regulation CF, all right? So if you have a trust, the trust does not have to be registered as an accredited investor. If you are, you don't have to be an accredited investor. What I will say is that the amount that you can invest is based off your income limits. So if you have an income of $124,000 or more, then it will take 5% of whatever is higher, your net worth or your income. If you make less, then the same thing, right? So it's based off your income. So again, this is a Reg CF, not a 506. A 506B or C, you do have to be an accredited investor and it has to be verified. But through Vesterr, unless the funder states that it has to be accredited, then it's no, we don't you don't have to be an accredited investor. If you are an accredited investor, then we do verify that you're accredited. But this particular deal, you do not have to be an accredited investor. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, and that's one of the other great things about Devon's platform is that she considered, opening the door for as many people as possible. And so that's what I really appreciated about Vesterr. So thank you, Devon.
Thank you. Thank you for using us.
Yeah, and this is about, reinvesting and owning, as a community.
Yeah.
Any other questions for me?
I
Did
do
you
have a question real
the
quick.
shareholder, the distribution? You answered that one, Dr. V?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Once we refinance and well, at $1 million, it automatically converts. If we don't reach $1 million, then we refinance it, and then we offer dividends after we refinance. Asia, yes.
Yeah, so I was asking, so um, once the property, if the property appreciates in value, when you were referring to there's an opportunity for investors to exit, would they receive a portion of the appreciation or would they just receive their initial investment?
Well, if it appreciates, the intent is that the initial investors get a portion of that. I just don't know how that would be distributed out. I guess we need to, it'll be approximate to the increase in value. So yeah, I want to make sure I don't speak in terms of certainties because this is a risk. We have to speak to this as if it is a risk, but the intention is if there is equity after we make the raise, then that is the intention.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
So
Is it, because I noticed you mentioned that you were looking for this to be community owned,
yes.
Which is amazing. Is it mainly the intention for it to be like a long-term hold for investors opposed to someone looking to, exit at a certain point?
So that would be your choice if you want to exit early or stay in for the long term. Our goal is to keep this in the community for the long term. So you can always exit when you want to exit.
Okay, so it was a question about if you live internationally, can you invest? So the only way that you can invest is if you are a US citizen. So meaning you have to have a social, we're not set up to accept foreign investment yet. And so that's the only way that you'll be able to invest. So hopefully that answered that question.
To possibly find that friend or group of friends who would like to go in with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
There was another question, does the pro forma speak to both an early exit and shareholder investment?
No, I only made it a true, operational and development, a cost related pro forma. I'll see if I can build that out though. I think that's a good question. Yeah, let me ask the attorney if we can build that out, or in this case, the accountant. We can.
Real quick, it says, I came in a little late. Is there a certain number of investors that you're looking for? What was the cost?
So on the website, my goal is 66 because, the new LaVilla was formed in 1866. And so my target is 66 investors total to close out the campaign. However, if for example, the minimum is 10,000. And so what is that? 100 or so investors? That's the max. I'm doing my math now. It's patient money for sure. That is so true. So true. Okay. And speaking of the pro forma, yeah, let me get with the attorneys on that. And I'll have these, if I didn't answer a question or said I would get back, the response will be posted to Vesterr's platform so that everybody can see it. And thank you for asking that question, Lonnie. And it may be answered already in the Q&A. I believe the accountant may have, the lawyer may have already answered that question in the Q&A. Rather than the pro forma. I may have missed this. Is there a certain number of investors you are looking for? And what was the cost? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so I'll go back to the raise. So the minimum, this is the number, I was just pulling my calculator out around, is 1.235 million. So 1, 2, and while I'm doing this, let me see, there's another question. Kevin, if a subscription is acceptable after an initial investment of 5K on an aggregate of 10, can the remainder be paid via subscription agreement incrementally? I think that's a platform question, Devon. Lonnie's Jacksonville native. Thank you, Lonnie. Appreciate that. Maybe calling you for some stories. Devon, Kevin asked about sort of if he can invest in phases on your platform. I believe, I don't want to speak for you, so.
Sure. Oh, okay. 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 So what do you mean by investing in phases? Because it's only one, so the minimum investment is 10,000. So I don't know what you mean by phases. Because it's not like a payment plan or anything that you can do. I guess I'm just trying to understand, what do you mean by phases?
If a subscription is acceptable. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're not familiar with that, but you can subscribe, and the subscription is a binding agreement if you enter into a subscription agreement for shares.
Right, but you were saying for
But your platform, and what I'm saying is, I was just giving that one as an example. It could be for any of the amounts. If you did an initial deposit towards the aggregate amount, can
Okay.
you pay it via a subscription in incremental installments that's acceptable to your platform?
Well, okay. So if let's say you decided to invest 50,000, right?
Correct.
But instead of you investing 50,000 at one time, you invest, 10,000, 10,000,
30,000, whatever.
or two, or two 25,000. You can do it that way, but the minimum is still 10,000. So you can make the initial investment, and if you decide to add more investments, you can.
Okay. I follow you.
Okay, and then what is the co-working membership? So for now, we're basing it on the trend data. We're basing it on the average cost of $172, and that's because the packages will range. So the packages will range from $59 to $350 monthly. And it'll depend on the specific package that you purchase. So we took the average of the different packages that'll be available. Does that help, Dixie?
Yes, thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay, so if we have only $10,000 investors, that would be 123 members, 123 and a half members max. And the reason that we started at 10 was because we wanted to sort of build a special group, a community that was manageable for us. And approximately 100 was our goal, but 66 is our target. Hopefully that answered that question. Any other questions? These are great questions.
Yeah.
I have a question. Good evening, everyone. Is
Hi, good evening.
Devon still on the call? Because it may be
Yes.
directed more toward Vesterr.
Yes.
So earlier in the presentation, you stated that an investor can invest within a self-directed IRA. How would the investment be custody? Would it be custody with the custodian or with Vesterr?
Oh, that's an excellent question. It'll actually the custodian. So our preferred custodian is Equity Trust.
Do you know if Vesterr is approved on other custodians? Have we went through that process?
Not with other custodians. I think someone used NewView. So if you already have a custodian account with the self-directed IRA, we can just give you the paperwork, because that's really what they need. They'll need the paperwork, and so you can use it. It's not like that you have to use Equity Trust. If you already have another custodian, we could just forward you the paperwork, so that way it could be loaded into the system, and then sign the paperwork, whatever we need to do on our end, so that way you can use your self-directed IRA to invest.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question.
Thank you. Do you see any other questions, Yvonne? Any other questions?
Other than the co-working membership.
Okay. Any other questions? These are great. Any other questions? We're a little bit over, so I appreciate you all being here again and staying on to get as much information as possible to make your
Oh,
decision.
I see a question. It says for initial exit strategy, is that fully explained in the, I guess, FAQ?
The exit strategy is explained, but when you say initial, this is a longer, this could be a longer term, 3-4 year investment, but the exit strategy is clearly, actually, let me scroll down to exit strategy and conversion risk. So the piece that I didn't cover was all of the legalese information. So it may be in here. And again, my attorney did a great job of fielding additional questions that I suggested that he put together. And so we have the exit strategy and conversion risks listed here. We have the business exit strategy listed here. If anyone would like for me to pause, please let me know. Risk factors, of course, are listed here in exhaustion. 2 pages of risk factors. And then we go into my team and I. Okay. Let me just land back on any other questions. Maybe this page. Let's just stick to this page. Okay. Let's see, there's another question. For initial exit strategy, is that fully explained in the GAQ still?
Yeah, you just answered. We just answered that one.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Thanks, Carolyn. I see it. Okay. So yeah, I'm just very cautious about misspeaking, but we do have the information all over the place in multiple places. Any other questions? Oh, thank you, Clinton. Let's see here. Let's see. Any other, again, great questions. So Davon will have all the information uploaded.
Including the video, so folks can watch the replay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Davon. And the new LaVilla webpage is there. So there's additional pictures and our concept, our mission, our vision, our goals for this project are all listed there. The Lost Fortune series of articles is listed there.
Oh, the deadline to invest. What's the deadline? September 30th.
Yeah, so for early investors by July
31st, right?
Yeah, 31st, we'll receive double founding member benefits. So the example I gave was for the 15. It's a 1-year co-working membership. It'll become 2. The $50,000 tier is a 4-year membership. It becomes 8. Your discounts on lodging and other amenities are extended as well. So definitely look at that founding members page for all of those incentives that are there. The value for the 50,000 was just about 39, so the benefits will double.
We have another question from Lonnie. It says, hey Lonnie, it says, are those services offered virtually as well?
So other than the physical being in the building, everything is, so the coaching, all of that is virtual. Coaching, consulting is virtual. The physical lodging, that's of course is, so everything that is associated with the physical building space is there. All of the virtual, like consulting services and business support services are virtual, or both, excuse me, are both. You're welcome, Lonnie. Great questions again. Oh, and the deadline after July 31st is September 30th. September 30th. Yeah, I should have put that in there as well. So thank you, Quinn. Mighty Quinn, thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions? Let's see, did I miss anything, Devon? Anything?
No, I think that's it. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. I so appreciate your time. I'm so grateful. And I am excited about seeing you all as part of this community and for taking this on the road once we get this one built out and done, looking at our other communities and our forgotten spaces and finding out how we can all become part of a larger movement and create bigger momentum. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you,
And this
ladies.
Thank you. You all have a great
Thank you,
evening.
Lonnie. Thank you. Thank you, Clinton. Thank you, Glenn.
You're welcome, guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
Glenn.
evening. Bye.